What's going on, guys? Today we're going to talk about how to make money with one of the best businesses in GTA 5 Online, and of course, we're talking about the nightclub. If we're strictly talking about passive income, this has to be the best business in the game. If this is a business you've been putting off until now, I suggest you stop procrastinating and buy one ASAP. There's so much money to be made, and once you're fully set up, there won't be much you actually need to do other than maybe maintain it every now and again. That's the beauty of the passive income king that is the nightclub. First, I'm going to go over the basics of purchasing a nightclub, what upgrades and modifications to buy, the other businesses you'll want to get started, and then we'll take a deeper dive into everything else. With that said, let's get right into it. The first step, and the most obvious, you need to own a nightclub. Luckily, they're on a 30% discount until Thursday, so buy one right now if you haven't already. The location you choose isn't going to kill you, but ideally you'd like to have one more centrally located on the map, so most people prefer the two northern locations, those being the West Vinewood nightclub and the downtown Vinewood nightclub. Also 30% off are the upgrades and modifications for the nightclub. Now there are a few really important things here. First, in simple terms, more storage equals more stock, which equals more money. So adding the max amount of floors to your storage facility when buying or renovating your nightclub is paramount. Second, it's incredibly important that you upgrade both your equipment and staff. The equipment is the most vital for your warehouse since upgrading this allows your warehouse technicians to accrue goods faster. I'd still recommend upgrading the staff if you have the money, as this will reduce the amount of popularity lost each in-game day. The security upgrade is a matter of preference, but personally, it's not something that I think is absolutely necessary, as long as you retire or disband from being a CEO or MC president immediately after missions. Although, since it's on sale, I wouldn't blame you for wanting more peace of mind. As for the other nightclub modifications like garage levels, style, lights, and the rest, they are completely up to you, but will not impact the money-making aspect of the business. Okay, next, you'll need to own some other businesses that can fuel the nightclub. You don't need to have them fully stocked or resupplied either, you just need to have them set up, which you typically do right after purchasing and interacting with them for the first time. Now, if you were looking to stock up and sell those businesses, as in making money from that business itself, I'd say you probably want the special cargo warehouse, the bunker, the cocaine lockup, and the meth lab. But when it comes to using them for the nightclub warehouse, I'd also add in the counterfeit cash factory. This is because you have 5 warehouse technicians that can acquire goods for you passively from those businesses to your nightclub. To make the most money in the fastest amount of time, you'll want to have your warehouse technicians set up to acquire cargo and shipments, sporting goods, South American imports, pharmaceutical research, and cash creation. These goods are worth the most money, so ideally you'll want to focus on them first. Once those fill up, you can immediately go to the nightclub and sell your stock of goods. Tony will usually text you to tell you when one of them has reached capacity, but you can always come back to check for yourself. During normal weeks, when we don't have double money on sell missions, if you sell right away when one is filled, you'll make roughly 1 million, sometimes more, sometimes less, and then you can begin accruing more as soon as you head out to sell. Now, while that is the best way to go about this when looking at opportunity costs, if you want to reach full stock, you'll have to own and have set up both a weed farm and a document forgery office on top of your other businesses. Once you see that 1 or 2 of your technicians have accrued the max amount of goods in one of the other categories, you can then assign them to the ones that you haven't started. Let's say South American imports have reached 10 out of 10 and cash creation has reached 40 out of 40. You take those warehouse techs and reassign them to organic produce and printing and copying. Cargo and shipments and sporting goods typically take longer to reach capacity, so you most likely won't be reassigning techs away from them, but it really depends on how you go about selling your stock. You can also speed up this process by requesting goods to help stock the warehouse yourself. All you have to do is call Johan, who many of us probably ignored and neglected, and select Request Goods. He'll then call you back in a few minutes with a mission to complete where you'll normally have to steal a vehicle of some sort to return to your nightclub, which often depends on which type of goods you're gathering. It can be a little annoying with the speed of the vehicle and rival gangs trying to slow you down, but they still shouldn't take more than 10 to 15 minutes to complete. If you aren't running Kayo, selling other businesses, or doing something else you care about this week, Request Goods missions are currently double money in RP, and we get double goods back, so it's certainly worthwhile if you don't have much else going on. Just FYI, once you've completed a Request Goods mission, you will have a 20-minute cooldown until you can request another. Okay, so let's say you've gotten to the point of wanting to sell your nightclub warehouse goods. That's great news, but depending on the amount of stock you currently have, there can be 3 different vehicles you'd use to deliver them. The Speedo Custom, a van that you can make surprisingly fast, the Mule, which many people will tell you to steer clear from, and the Pounder, which is the biggest of the bunch. The vehicle you're required to use is based on the number of goods you're selling. It's broken down like this. Selling under 90 crates means you're using the Speedo. Selling between 90 and 180 means you'll be in the Mule, and anything over that will be delivered with the Pounder. They aren't all super cheap, and you'll want to upgrade them in some capacity to withstand damage, but you don't necessarily need to go crazy with weapons and such, which I'll explain in a minute. If you want to sell early or do some special orders, the Speedo is great because after being upgraded, it actually moves pretty quickly. The Mule will handle a lot of the sell missions that are teetering around the $1 million range. I will admit the Mule is slow because of its acceleration, but I strictly sell in invite-only sessions, so I'm not overly worried about how long it takes, and I don't add weapons to any of my vehicles because I find it only distracts me and runs the risk of things exploding around me, so instead I use proximity mines to keep NPCs off my trail. But I make sure to only drop them when there's some separation between my vehicle and theirs as to not blow myself up. The Pounder will only be used for large to full stock sales. In my opinion, it's better to drive than the Mule, but clearly not as quick as the Speedo. This is one I would recommend not adding any weapons to, or at least not ones that are overly large, because it can affect where the vehicle is able to access since it adds to the truck's height. Also, an important side note, I always sell in invite only or solo sessions, so I will obviously feel differently about not needing weapons on my delivery vehicles. If you're selling in a public lobby, especially full ones, I'd understand you wanting a weapon on your vehicle. Also, selling in a public lobby offers the opportunity to make an extra percentage of money, but as we all know, this comes with a risk. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. Okay, so you have stock in your nightclub warehouse, and now you have delivery vehicles to sell them in. Looks like you're about ready to sell. So what you're going to want to do is go to your computer in your nightclub office and log on, which I'd recommend doing as a CEO. From the home section, head down to sell goods. From here, you can decide to sell all goods or sell a special order, which will only take some of your stock for a small increase in profit. These can be positive depending on how you use them. If you prefer to sell with only your Speedo, you can sell multiple special orders and not have to use either of the larger vehicles. Of course, that also means multiple sell missions and trips back and forth. So while they can be good to break down your stock into smaller cells, they also use more of your time. Alright, last couple things before we finish up. After you sell your stock, make sure that if you reassigned any of your warehouse technicians to accrue any goods that aren't the most valuable, you go ahead and change them back. Otherwise, you'll end up collecting goods that will fill up faster, but aren't as valuable, probably making you question why your stock isn't worth as much the next time around. For example, if you wanted to reach full stock, you likely reassigned one of your techs to organic produce and/or printing and copying once one of your other goods hit capacity. For this example, let's say they were originally assigned to South American imports and pharmaceutical research. You don't want to leave them to accrue less valuable goods, so go back in and reassign your organic produce tech to South American imports and your printing and copying tech back to pharmaceutical research. Now the only thing left to discuss is the other way to earn passive income from your nightclub, and that's the wall safe. You'll want to keep your popularity high at all times so you can earn the max 50k per in-game day, which is every 48 minutes. But right now we have double money on nightclub daily income, so it's actually 100k every 48 minutes. I think some people think that means the safe will now max out at 500k, but that's not the case. The safe will still max out at 250k, so make sure to grab it so you're not losing out on money, especially this week with double daily profits. If you see that you're at 200k, you should take it immediately so you don't lose out on the other 50k that can't fit in the safe. As for popularity, so that you're always getting the most out of your daily income, you can keep your popularity high in a few different ways. One way is to switch out your DJ with one you haven't used before, which will cost you 100k, and you'll need to do a mission to get them there, but this will refill your popularity bar. You can also switch them out for ones you have used in the past, which will only cost 10k and won't generate a mission, but it'll only refill your popularity bar a little, although you can do this multiple times. Then there's promotions you can run as well, but these generate missions and there are definitely better ways to use that time. Ideally, you'll want to run into your nightclub every so often and do one of the pop-ups. With these, there's one of two possibilities. The first is a circle blip will pop up and you'll have to throw someone out of the club. That can be someone puking in the bathroom, someone ruining the vibe on the dance floor, somebody complaining about their tab at the bar, or someone stumbling around in the loading bay. Almost all of them take place downstairs in the club other than the one in the loading bay, but all of them shouldn't take more than a minute to complete. You'll receive a text describing which of these events is taking place. The other possibility is a VIP is drunk and you'll be tasked with either driving them home, to the hospital, or to a rehab center. These won't take very long either, maybe 5 to 10 minutes max, but they can be tedious and the distance can be irritating. When you drive a VIP somewhere, you'll be told not to crash or speed too much, otherwise you'll ruin the mission and earn no popularity increase. If I get one that's within 3 miles or so, I usually take them and just try not to speed. If you're wondering, the speed limit before you start ruining the mission is 70, so stay under that and you're good. However, if I get one that's anything over 4 or 5 miles away, like the Sandy Shores location, I won't stand for it. My nightclub is already located very low on the map near the airport, so if I see the mission start and it says 5 point whatever miles to drop them off, I'll usually send them off with a bang. Also, before I forget, if you have any intention on owning an Oppressor Mark II, you're gonna have to purchase the Terabyte first, and in order to own a Terabyte, you're gonna need a place to put it, and the nightclub is where it's stored. So you first have to own a nightclub, buy the Terabyte, and then when able, buy the Oppressor MK2. Otherwise, that's it. With everything we went over, you should have a good grasp on the nightclub business as a whole, and how to make the most money possible. This truly is one of, if not the best businesses in the entire game, and I cannot recommend it enough. I know this was a lot, but in the end, the investment will pay for itself multiple times over, and you'll be glad you did it. Hope this was helpful and you're able to make tons of money with your nightclub during this update and in the future. As always, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Skull.